Good evening. Will the Revere City Council meeting for July 12, 2017 please come to an order? All salute and rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call of the members. Councillor Giannino. Here. Here. Councillor Guinasso.
Here.
Here. Councillor McKenna.
Here.
Here. Councillor Morabito is absent. Councillor Novoselsky.
Here.
Here. Councillor Patch.
Here.
Here. Councillor Powers.
Here.
Here. Councillor Rotondo is absent. Councillor Zambuto is absent. And Council Vice President Keefe.
Here.
Here. A quorum is present. Calendar item number 1, resolution of condolence for City Council President Robert J. Haas, Jr.
At this time, I'd like to heed the floor to Councillor Guinasso to read the resolution.
Resolution of condolences. Whereas former Mayor and City Council President Robert J. Haas, Jr. has rendered conspicuous, faithful, and honorable public service to the citizens of the City of Revere in his duties as Mayor and as City Councilor. And whereas Almighty God, in his infinite wisdom, has called former Mayor and City Council President Robert J. Haas, Jr. to his eternal reward. And whereas the sad calling from our midst of former Mayor and City Council President Robert J. Haas, Jr. leaves a vacancy in the official family of the City of Revere that will be difficult to fill, and the memory that will long be cherished. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the members of the Revere City Council extend to the family of former Mayor and City Council President Haas, on behalf of the citizens of Revere, our heartfelt sympathy and sincerest regrets on their profound loss. And be it further resolved that in recognition of former Mayor and City Council President Haas' services to the citizens of Revere, that the City Council pays sincere tribute to his memory by spreading upon the official records of the Revere City Council a copy of this resolution and condolences. Ordered by the City Council on a roll call. Councilors Giannino, Guinasso, McKenna, Morabito, Novoselsky, Patch, Powers, Rotondo, and Zambuto, and City Council President, Vice President Keefe, voting in the affirmative. Approved by Patrick M. Keefe, Council Vice President. In witness thereof, this resolution of condolences is given at Revere City Hall this 12th day of July in the year of our Lord, 2017, and the independence of the United States of America, the 241st. Signed and attested by Ashley E. Melnick, City Clerk.
At this time, I'd like to ask our fellow councilors to take a moment of silence in memory of Robert J. Haas. Thank you.
There are 2 communications from the City Auditor relative to end-of-year deficit transfers and transfers and appropriation of police detail receipts for reimbursement of the use of police vehicles.
Anyone wishing to speak on these transfers? State your name and address for the record, please.
Laurie G. Dallas, City Auditor, 29 Castle Road.
Thank you.
So I'm just here in case you have questions about the transfers. We could speak about the detail one first, just because that one is a lot simpler. And basically what that one represents is during the course of the year, there was money received from billing for charging for the use of the city vehicles as reimbursement for gas and mileage. So we don't always get reimbursed through details for that type of expense, but this year we did have that. So there is some additional funds sitting in the detail account that the police department would like to be able to use for the use of purchasing their vehicles and/or leases. And if you remember in the budget this past fiscal year in 17, there wasn't any funding set aside for as an appropriation. So the police department would like to be able to use this fund for that use. So we need to come before you to get that approval.
Thank you.
Did you want to speak
Any
to
members? Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have a question on the fire department, $250,000.
All right,
That's-
can we get to that one? We're going to do that next. Right now, we're talking about the police details for the $35,000 going from the detail account
No, I
into...
understand that.
Okay, all right. Did anyone have any questions for the chief?
Any other members of the council wishing to speak on this motion? Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I would be in favor of this because I know a lot of police officers, they're using regular cars and older cars, so I'm definitely in favor of this. Thank you.
Well, I think it's a good use of funds since we have the money available. It's not costing us any additional monies from our appropriation, and we do need to replace our vehicles on a regular basis. So,
Thank you. And I see Chief Guido's here. He'd like to speak on this as well.
Mr. President, this is money we received. There's a big job going on, and we got the company to reimburse us for the police cars. Most of them are older cars we're using. And I'll be coming before the council later on in the year to do it again when the money builds back up. As you know, we stopped towing motor vehicles for street sweeping, which I agree with, but that cut down the toll fees, and the toll fees were used to buy most of the police cars. So this is actually helping us out right now. And we'll probably, till the end of this job, probably be able to buy 2 or 3 new cruisers. So for now, this will get us to pay for one. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief Guido. Roll call to vote.
That the city council approve a transfer in the amount of $35,000 from the police detail account to the police and new equipment account. Councillor Giannino?
yes.
Yes. Councillor Guinasso?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Morabito is absent. Councillor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Patch?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Rotondo is absent. Councillor Zambuto is absent. And Council Vice President Keefe?
Yes.
Yes, the transfer has been approved.
Next item.
This would be the communication from the mayor's office relative to the deficit transfers for FY17.
Ms. Giardella.
Yes, I'm here to request that the city council approve these transfers. They're year-end transfers. Essentially what happens at the end of the year is we review our general fund accounts to see what the deficits are, and we look to transfer money from one account to the other within the general fund. This does not increase the appropriation in any way. All it's doing essentially is moving money from one place to the other. All cities and towns throughout Massachusetts do this at the end of the year for the same reason of making sure that we're not in deficit. And essentially, I'm just requesting that we approve this transfer so we don't have any issues with the DOE.
Thank you. Any members of the council? Council Powers?
Thank you, Mr. President. Laurie, just a question. The fire department, permanent salaries, $250,000. Is that money that was unused, or?
John, I believe what happened originally was it's the timing thing in terms of when people are hired and replaced, and when they go to the, for training and all of that. So when there's extra money sitting in a particular salary account, the permanent salary account for the fire department is mostly a number of additional items that get added, not just the straight salary for the firemen. So that money is excess for this year, and that will cover the other accounts that are in deficit. So we have a number of them that needed to be replenished, including the regular salary for the firefighters, salary overtime, the captain's salaries, the chief's salary. So this money will go to cover that type of
So
thing.
are you saying that we're $250,000 in deficit?
No, we're not in deficit.
So this was surplus money, am I correct? That was not used?
Well, not technically.
It's money, it's there.
I understand, but when it comes to payroll within the city, especially when it comes to police and fire departments, because you have people coming and going, and you have budgets that sometimes you're not able to hire people as quickly as the budget is. So during the course of a year, people can retire. You could be trying to fill those positions. Maybe somebody doesn't make it through the academy or through training. So the salaries are being paid at a different rate. But those fluctuations happen from year to year, and they're never the same.
But it is money that wasn't used, am I correct?
For this particular, well,
Yes.
it's not used in that particular account.
The reason I'm asking is
Okay.
I'm looking at $250,000. And in my opinion, that would be enough money to open Engine 2 during 3 or 4 months when we've got heavy traffic in the city.
Okay, yeah. No, I know, I said that. So we don't have 250. What I'm saying is that if you look at the other page, on one sheet, we're just moving money from one account to other accounts to fund the other accounts that are in deficit. So you have firefighters' regular salary, that's in deficit, $144,000.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Councillor Guinasso?
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Certainly, in looking over the variances here, you've come pretty close to the mark in most of the categories, which is a credit to yourself and the budgeting staff. You've only 3 categories where there's like a larger amounts of money, and those 3 categories happen to be salaries of the fire, police, and DPW. So that's an amazing event based on the fact that it's hard to judge and budget for salaries and wages. The other very interesting thing, and I'm very pleased to see, is that we had a $69,000 variance in snow removal to our benefit, which was a great relief because in past years, we're always deficit spending in that particular category. And
Well, so it's a plus and a negative because the salaries for the city salaries for snow removal was lower than it could have been. But the vendor expenses for snow removal was much higher. So we will end up, even with all of these transfers, we will have a deficit that we'll carry on the recap sheet come November. But this is what we usually do anyway, so it's part of the process. I forget the exact amount, but I think it's somewhere around $560,000. Plus, in the past, we carried forward from the 2015 storms. This is the last year we'll be carrying another 300 and something thousand. But after this year, that will be gone, and then we will be whole again.
I've been here for several years, Laurie, and I remember the years that we budgeted for $50,000.
I know, I know.
And that was like ludicrous to begin with, but.
I know.
And
And I mean, the expectation is every year, we don't know what that number's going to be. So and because it's one of the few items that can be carried on the recap sheet if you're in deficit, it's something that we know will go into deficit. We're just hoping that it's not going to be too bad. Some
the other-
years, we've actually been in a position where we could cover that deficit, and, but that doesn't happen, as often.
Well, again, I
anymore.
applaud you for being close in the budgeting factor,
Well,
because
thank
it
you.
really is I used to be at Mass General, and budgeting time was a nightmare.
It's
And
a lot of stress.
And dealing with doctors, they couldn't understand the variance, how can you not right in the money? But, that's life, that's the way it goes.
I know.
And so that's the cost of doing business. Good job.
Thank you, I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Councilor Patch.
Thank you, President Keefe. Laurie, on the PDW, Department of Works,
Yep,
permanent salaries, there were like several jobs that went unfilled last year. Was that already taken care of in the budget, or is this?
well, most of those
where'd that money
jobs were water sewer enterprise, so they're not even reflected on here because we had enough monies to cover those particular expenses. These were just listing the accounts that needed transfers to and from. The water sewer enterprise will have an excess or surplus this year because we did not hire all those positions, from the beginning of the year. And
Well, don't we have to transfer that?
no, what will happen to that money is it will drop to free cash. And then we'll have certified free cash available to spend once we get it certified. So that's usually somewhere toward the end of the year, after we set our recap. Okay?
Thank you, Councilor Patch. Any other members wishing to speak? Roll call.
That the City Council approve end of fiscal year 2017 transfers totaling
Thank you.
$892,142.79, as reported in the Auditor's Verification of Funds dated July 12th, 2017. Councillor Giannino?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Guinasso?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Morabito is absent. Councillor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Patch?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Rotondo is absent. Councillor Zambuto?
Yes.
Yes. And Council Vice President Keefe?
Yes.
Yes, the transfers have been approved.
There's no further business.
Suspend rules,
Suspension.
Mr. Vice President, the hopes that it does not prevail.
Do I have a second? Motion to adjourn till our next scheduled meeting on July 24th, 2017.